Welcome to the Green Wisdom Health Podcast with Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis, where you will learn about natural solutions to common ailments. And now, here are your hosts, Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Green Wisdom Health Show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And today we are going to educate you a little bit about your liver. So the name of this show is called Happy Liver Makes a Happy Life. And we have a brand new product we're going to talk about. Probably a lot of you already have heard of this particular ingredient or product, but it's new to us, and Dr. Lewis has some really interesting research on it and why it's important for your liver and how it will make it happy. We've also got a lot of questions to get to, which seems we don't get to many of them, but we try, and we appreciate that you send those in on Dr. Lewis's Shooting Straight page on Facebook or on our website. So, Dr. Lewis, why did you want to speak today about liver health, and what is it you've got up your sleeve that we can get excited about now? Because I know you're always learning, you're always researching, and you're always improving and changing things. So give us your knowledge, pour it all out there. You're on.
Well, she's saying that because I'm usually ignoring her while I'm reading books and research. While she watches Lifetime movies, where they have the same old loaf of French bread sticking out of the sack, and they always use the same kitchen knife to kill each other. It's like, why would you go downstairs in a Lifetime movie because you hear a bump in the night and you have nothing but a baseball bat, or you wait till you get the fireplace iron? If you're going to go downstairs in a Lifetime movie, for God's sake, take your AR-15. You're going to need it. Sorry. That's why she thinks I'm always researching, because I'm ignoring that stuff, because it's the same old stuff. I'd rather watch Hallmark Christmas movies at Halloween. Oh, what should I say?
Well, the liver, nobody really knows about it. I don't think it really gives us warning signs like our lungs do when we produce a cough when we're beginning to get sick, and our heart will start skipping beats whenever we have a heart problem. But our liver just kind of sits there quietly, so you've got to kind of give us what are the alert signals for your liver not working right, I guess.
Yeah, you have to be really serious. It takes a lot to drink yourself to death. But, more importantly, or more commonly, we have so many diverse chemicals in our environment. They're called environmental endocrine disruptors, or xenoestrogens. They act like estrogen. That's why men have low testosterone, and women, young girls, develop breast and menstrual cycle before they should. You can't just barely halfway do it, because I had a guy come in yesterday talking about it.
An endocrine disruptor, yes.
Yeah, erection problems.
Oh, no, I was thinking about the chemicals that he brought along with him in the office that we had a hard time.
First of all, he smoked 2 or 3 packs a day, and I told him, well, you've got to do that, and you've got to really load up to get ahead of the chemicals that he's introduced into his body besides the smoking. And then he wanted to come in and take 1 pill a day, and it's like, yeah, you put a half gallon of gas in your tank and expect it to go. You can't do that. You have to jump in, and this thing we're going to talk about will help you in big, big ways. The chemical industry and the food industry, they assert that small amounts are harmless, which is bull. But what they don't tell you is they don't really detoxify every day. And the harmless amounts of chemicals that we inhale and ingest, they stockpile or bioaccumulate. And, you hear me clear my throat a lot. Well, this morning we had our house we just moved to sprayed, and it's green. What would you call it, Janet? Natural?
They were green chemicals so that we weren't ingesting bad toxins.
And it still is somewhat of an issue.
They don't feel green right now, but I guess they were good.
So, forgive me for clearing my throat. The problem is that we don't always make a correlation to the real causation. Sometimes they don't cause disease for many decades, and we'll chalk it up to old age, but it may be something that you inhaled a few decades earlier. There's been cancers, autoimmune diseases like lupus, arteriosclerosis, high blood pressure, arrhythmia. Janet talked about heart attack, rheumatoid, thyroiditis. We see that more and more common. high cholesterol, diabetes, colitis, allergies, Parkinson's disease. I hope I get to that research. I got some notes on that. Benign prostatic hypertrophy. Man, if you're my age and you're getting up and peeing 3 or 4 or 5 times a night, you've got an issue and you need to get serious with it. Even multiple sclerosis, osteoporosis, heart failure, worn out joints, da-da-da-da-da. Anyway, these are the chemicals.
Oh, these are chemicals. I was thinking this has to do with your liver?
Well, creating this. And that just leads up to why should you pay attention to your liver. The thing about it is, everybody talks about detoxification, but very few people want to stay with it and do it because sometimes they don't feel good. And it's like, well, the pain of getting well is way, way, way more comfortable than the pain of what's coming if you don't detoxify, because when you detoxify, you don't realize, or most people don't realize, they detoxify and deplete their nutrients. So you have to have a great deal of nutrients, more than what you can get out of your food. And when you detoxify, it depletes all these nutrients. So let's just talk about glutathione, because that's the one that we're going to, but we're going to talk about a whole lot more. You've got phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification of the liver. We love, 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 love our liver support and detox, because it has N-acetylcysteine, which is the precursor to glutathione. It has alpha-lipoic acid, which is an absolutely, holy geez, incredible antioxidant. And then it's got methionine, cysteine, taurine, trimethylglycine, which is basically a methyl donor.
This is the new liver support. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, and people ask sometimes, we've gone through a lot of changes the last year, 2 years, and we're changing things. We're so grateful that so many of you have stuck with us through the changes, because they know my integrity cannot, you can't put a chink in my integrity. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to get the highest quality available. We're going to these companies that says, you can't buy from me unless you present an active license. So this is the good stuff. So when we make a change, most of you out there have realized it's for a good reason. Thank you for your loyalty. And when we change something, and we just changed the liver detox, I'm leading up to why we did that.
Yeah, also, while you're talking about the changes with liver detox, tell us why. Because if you look on the old bottle, there was 120 capsules in the old bottle. This one is 60. So why did you do that, and what have you done differently?
Really and truly, I like the formula different, but you've got to realize, folks, that sometimes I'll make a change, not because the old one was bad, but because the new one may be better. But in this case, it's because we had massive amount of trouble getting the old one. It would be back ordered for months at a time, and it's like, well, that's not doing you any good. So we got one that we can get
more
pretty readily for the most part, and it does a good job, and you don't really have to take as much to do the job.
Why don't you have to take as much to do the job?
Well, because if you will consider this reduced L-glutathione, it's a compound that should be made in the body out of glutamic acid and amino acid L-cysteine. That's where the N-acetylcysteine comes in. And glycine, which is an amino acid, which I've talked about a lot before. I know you're listening. It is the major antioxidant. Glutathione, we make less as we get older because we don't get as much digestion and absorption of these things, and you need more as you get older. It's a scavenger for free radicals. I guess that'd be a good way of putting it. It's very important in the detoxification of the xenobiotics that I talked about. Smoke, heavy metals, even the green pesticide treatment we had this morning at the house. Heavy metals, drug metabolites.
There's some that's called L-glutathione that a lot of people probably have heard of, but then this one's reduced.
Yeah.
So what is reduced L-glutathione, I guess? And
it also contains magnesium, which is very, very, very critical, which I've got notes on that. I don't know if I get to it. Glutathione has basically two forms. They recycle back and forth sometimes. I'll get to that too, I hope. Your body continues to produce free radicals, and they're uncharged, highly reactive. That charge has a lot to do with phase 2 liver detoxification. The reduced form is the one that, for the most part, is more protective and of the tissues. It's more it scavenges better. Is what I'd
It's a bigger scavenger hunter. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a Wolverine rather than a chipmunk. It's the big bad boy that does the job.
And for y'all that are just totally lost about what he's talking about, which I would be too. See, God teaches him differently than he does me. Dr. Lewis has a wonderful brain. He's able to retain information, and he's able to decipher it, more importantly, where a lot of us, like myself, seem to learn by experience physically. And this particular product came up, we were in the middle of the liver support being on back order. And generally when this stuff happens, it's like God kind of buys us time to go, hey, I want you to look this way because there's something you need to pay attention to. I've learned to do this over time. I used to get frustrated and I think, why are we being put through this? Now I realize it's because there's something else we're supposed to learn. And then I've talked to him about afflicting me with issues, but he still thinks that this is a great way for me to learn, apparently. And
talk to God about it. I'd make her skip it because she's too pretty to suffer.
Well, it started with leg cramps at night, and it was only at night. It wasn't during the day, and it seemed to happen. And I tell people, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but it's weird. It's like right before you're needing to have a bowel movement, your legs will cramp, and it's a very odd situation. And for the longest time, for a long time, could not get a handle on it. Well, Dr. Lewis found magnesium glycinate, and he was like, have you tried that? And I'm like, no. And we talked to y'all about that a little bit. It took away 90% of it.
Which goes back to the glycine that I talked about being a super cleanser.
Okay. And so I still had a little bit of it left. And I thought, man, what is going on? Well, then he started learning about glutathione. And
I already knew it. Geez, I just got deep into it.
We started really implementing it, or working on implementing it, I guess.
Well, but the reason is, and people that talk to me know, it's because, I grew up poor, so I'm always going for, I'll never compromise on the quality, but I'm always going for best price for what you get to.
And I'm going for, let's just get me out of pain because I can't handle this. And so I try a bottle of this reduced glutathione. And it was like a miracle. I quit. I have totally quit having leg cramps, and don't have to take anything to help assist your bowel movements to move. It actually is dumping on its own. I think you're only supposed to be doing about one a day of it because they're 150 milligram ones. They're real strong. But I've been doing one in the morning and one after lunch because it just makes me feel great. It gives you energy.
They work real well for the money spent. Yeah. And we've had other glutathiones in the past, but frankly, they were too blooming expensive for what you got out of it.
And the funny thing about it is, we're talking about the liver support. On the liver support we had before, because we didn't have the reduced cell glutathione at that time, I was taking anywhere from 6 to 9 of those a day, just trying to detoxify because I felt like I needed a detox. Since I've added in this glutathione, I'm down to taking 1 to 2, maybe 3 sometimes if I feel really toxic with the liver support. It's really reduced the amount of liver support. But, again, I learn differently, and I'm experimenting it on myself where Dr. Lewis is going, oh, well, I understand why it's doing that. So we're trying to give you a little bit of simple-minded versus intellectual side of why we're so excited about this.
That's all I know how to do, speak redneck.
So basically, if you're on liver support and you've been doing the liver support for a long time, people are going, well, I don't know what to buy now. So we're telling them, try just doing the reduced L-glutathione and see how it works.
And keep in mind, we both do both of them.
Yeah.
Jan and I do both.
And if you have the money or you have higher liver enzymes, because we've told you that you do on blood work, then do get a bottle of the liver support and detox with it and do them both, but you just won't need more than probably 2 of those liver support a day. So the 60 in a bottle is going to be plenty to cover it for a month.
And you'll be better covered in heavier, larger amounts of phase 2 detoxification. Why should you do this? Why should you listen to us? Why should you take a leap of faith. Did you know? The best form of transportation is a leap of faith. Oh no, never mind. I'm getting spiritual. And this is from Columbia Presbyterian Medical School and published in Science magazine. It said the cause of 95% of all cancers boils down to diet and environment. I've read those statistics from other sources too. So if 95% of cancers are coming from your diet and environment, that means you're not detoxifying.
And it's very interesting about your liver, of things that people don't realize their liver even does. Did you know that your liver produces bile, which help carry away waste and break down your fats? And another thing that it does, which I thought was really interesting, is that, the glutathione, it helps take away the problems that you would have with your gallbladder. It takes the stress off your gallbladder, which I think is really, for a lot of people, is what's wrong, because I still have my gallbladder. It's not really great, and it has a hard time, but ever since I added in the reduced glutathione, my gallbladder doesn't bother me anymore.
But here's another point that I think you should know about. When the glutathione grabs, and it grabs hundreds of types of environmental chemicals, drags them out of the blood, into the liver, through the bile, like Janet said, and through the gallbladder if you have it, and then into the gut, where they're eventually flushed down the toilet. But if you don't have the good bowel motility, then these bad chemicals are unhooked from the glutathione, and that has a lot to do with the amount and the types of probiotics. Then it reabsorbs. So you got to make sure you're having good bowel movements. And Janet's famous for 3 trains in a tunnel, 3 trains out. So every molecule of chemical that you detoxify, we use up, deplete, or lose forever the molecule of glutathione plus 1 molecule of ATP, which is energy. So detoxification takes energy. So you have to go way beyond this. And one thing I want to talk about is lipoic acid. It's, oh my God, important. And that's in our liver detoxin support. And we have it in a really good form, just plain. So lipoic acid is a major antioxidant. And with the glutathione, now lipoic acid, alpha lipoic, it's really important to do the vitamin C. And I really like the buffered, multi-element buffered C. Janet didn't want to carry it. That's all we could get at the time through the COVID scare. She said it's too expensive. I said, well, geez, it's 250 capsules. I mean, it's going to last them 2, 3, 4 months. So it's not that expensive. And it's got the zinc, selenium. It's buffered with some of the magnesium oxide and calcium carbonate, which is good for buffer.
That's really been one of our big sellers, because I guess people will see on the ingredients it has a whole bunch of different products in it. So
and it's got the quercetin, which is the ionophore, which helps force the zinc into the cell, which keeps the replication of the virus from taking place. So vitamin C, alpha lipoic acid, glutathione is incredible. Very important.
Can you also explain, because I'm, again, simple-minded, but I know you're not. Can you tell us what NAC, N-acetylcysteine, which is another one I love because it helps you expel phlegm, helps you thin mucus. What does that have to do with putting it with glutathione? I know somehow
it's the precursor. So once you're using the glutathione, the N-acetylcysteine's behind it making more glutathione. And it's very, very important. We sell the heck out of it for people that are snorting and snotting and coughing and, have sinus problems or bronchitis or lung issues. Some people say they have better eyesight, but I think that's just because they're cleaning their liver out.
Well, another thing I wondered about the liver, because the liver actually produces cholesterol and proteins and clotting factors to help your blood clot. So is it safe to say that your cholesterol issue, if you're on a statin drug, may be because your liver is toxic? Is that part of the issue with why people have a cholesterol problem, is their liver?
It's one of the possibilities, and it could be something as simple as a copper deficiency, but it could be a family thing. You may have the genetics that are doing that. It could be because you're consuming fluoride in your water, which is an enzyme inhibitor and calcifies arteries. It could be a million things, but that's one of the possibilities. And then you get into the glutathione peroxidase, which is enzymes that protect us from the damage of free radicals. I want to talk about free radicals for a minute. If you're constipated and your gut's not really super duper healthy, and the chemicals are being dragged into the gut, attached to the glutathione, but you're not having good bowel movements or good bowel motility. The glutathione falls off, like I was talking about earlier. The chemical's now reabsorbed into the body, ready to do more damage. So once upon a time, there was this lady that called me, and I love her and her husband dearly. They used to be here, but they moved to Virginia. And I said, well, you need to do a coffee enema, and it needs to be organic coffee. And she said, well, that's not going to happen. Folks, if you understood the detoxification that takes place when you do a coffee enema, no cream and sugar, it needs to be organic. You don't want to introduce more chemicals. If you knew what kind of detoxification it takes place, where it forces or urges your liver to dump the bile, everybody would be doing a coffee enema once in a while. If you've been heavily exposed to the chemicals, like the guy that's spraying the natural stuff this morning, he's coming into the office. He said, man, I don't want to be like these old guys. And, addle-headed at 50. I said, they're not detoxifying.
It is. So your expanding waistline may be putting your liver at risk, correct?
Oh, geez, let's get personal.
There's stunning new research that suggests that your liver may be aging faster than the rest of your body if you hold excess weight in your waist. So you got to think the people with the beer belly gut kind of thing.
Don't look at me.
I'm not.
I gave up beer because of gluten.
Researchers found that for each 10-unit increase in body mass index, or BMI, the physiological age of the liver grew by 3.3 years.
And most people have a liver issue anyway because it's too busy trying to detoxify, doesn't have the nutrients to do it.
So suppose you're a 5'8" man weighing 130 pounds, which I don't think I've ever seen a 5'8".
Not since we were in high school.
Yeah, that's super tiny. And have a BMI of 20. A second man of the same height and age weighs 230 pounds, which is more accurate here, and has a BMI of 35. The liver of the second man is likely 5 years older than the liver of the normal weight man. And if the second man decided to have surgery to rapidly lose the excess weight, the age of his liver would not change. Is that not interesting? That's scary. So that's why I say, and you always say, alcohol is bothering the liver. Yes, it is. But I want Dr. Lewis to tell you about a big problem for the liver, which is fructose.
Yeah, fructose is about 10 times more damaging than glucose. And, flipping through my pages here.
Yeah, fructose is it's like high fructose corn syrup type stuff. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and it's in everything. You've got to watch it. If the barbecue sauce has corn syrup or high fructose corn syrup, we pass and go to a healthier one. And that's, the more we vote with our pocketbook, the better we're going to get that. So it's got to be broken down by the liver 100%, and the liver already has way too much to do. So stay away from high fructose corn syrup. And the problem is that most people don't know, these companies that make this stuff lose tons of mercury when they're doing it. So when you're doing high fructose corn syrup and you're feeding your kids that, your sodas, down here in the South we call them Cokes, no matter what brand they are. We call a Dr. Pepper a Coke. You're feeding them mercury and you wonder why their brain is fried with ADD, ADHD. Because they don't have enough glutathione to detox this stuff.
Yeah. And I cannot believe we've gotten through the show. It's already so far into it. I do want to make sure that we address a couple of questions here. So Rich had a question about, so according to the podcast, I'm a doer, not a viewer. And I like that. That means he actually is participating in what we've told him to do. He's done his lab.
But he had trouble understanding Texican, so I had to have a little speech with him about understand Texican.
Yeah, it's a doer and viewer. That means some way looking in. When it comes to getting rid of his gluten, he's been able to get rid of his gluten. My question is, how can I convince my wife to cut gluten out of her and my kids' diets?
You can't. The best thing you can do is set a good example. The
best thing he can do for his wife with gluten is tell her to not eat it for a week and then add some in. The feeling you get from adding gluten back in it's that nice, full feeling that you think you're getting from, because you ate a really great meal and you're so fat and bloated from it. It's actually gluten. That's the problem. We did that the other day. We were in a restaurant and didn't have much choice of what we bought, and we hadn't had gluten in a while, and we had that, and I thought, oh my God, I feel like if I was a tick, you could pop me. And it wasn't that I was full, it was because of the gluten.
Yeah, and some of us have it worse than others. I have it worse than Janet because I'm older, but
I think your wife, if she could realize that feeling of what it feels like when you don't have it and then you put it back in, might be the best seller of all without the husband saying a word.
Or you can be like Janet, years ago, and I'm into health, but not to the degree that she is. And she says, Stephen, I'm young and good looking, and you're insured for massive amounts of money. She says, if you don't take care of yourself, I'm going to spend that money with another man, buy him a new bass boat. It's like, well, geez, that hurt. Oh, we're coming in. You're getting ready for another question. Thanks, Rich. But, we're selling the holy heck out of this stuff. It's called ViroPro. We're coming into the season. We're talking about late October 2020 for those of you that may listen to us later.
The season of what?
Oh, geez, I forgot. If you can remember your ginkgo, do you need it? Cold, flu, da-da-da-da-da. Boost your immune system with the ViroPro. It's got the vitamin A, C, B12, the good B12, pantothenic acid, which will make your wife or husband look better because that decreases your cortisol. Zinc, and it's the good zinc, the tracks. Anytime you see TRAACS, that means that's the good stuff. Then it has the Astragalus European Elder, Andrographis, which is an incredible adaptogen, Echinacea, L-lysine. So get it and keep it just in case. We're selling it to people. People say, well, I don't need it now, but I'm going to keep it just in case. I'll have it just in case I feel those symptoms coming on. I can give my body a boost of extra nutrients.
Cool. And I just wanted to read a little something from Troy here. It wasn't a question, but we like the positive feedback as well that people receive when they take products. We're over here airing all of the things that go on with us, and frankly, it's a little personal to put that out across the air, but I know I'm doing it to help other people. We think that people think, well, y'all are healthy, that we'll come to you for all this stuff because y'all don't have a problem. Well,
have to work at it.
Well, the reason we have all this stuff is because we have had a problem. So that's why we know about it. But I want to acknowledge people that actually tell us something nice as well. And Troy is one of those people. And he just wanted to say how impressed he was with Dr. Lewis's Easy Relax pills. He bought them for his father since he's extremely stressed out over his mom developing dementia. I told him to take 4 the first night and that he should probably start feeling their effects 3 or 4 days after taking them. Well, he told me the next day that he hasn't slept that good in years and that the stress seemed to temporarily fade away. I'm so happy that they worked for him, and now will be getting myself some as well. Thank you for supplying legitimate supplements that actually work, Dr. Lewis. You are saving my family slowly but surely.
And I really like talking to Troy, and I really appreciate the people that give us positive feedback because we need it too. So let me kind of interject a little bit of that. You were talking about dementia. There was a study I read that said 1 injection of glutathione in a person with Parkinson's. Now, Parkinson's is a pretty bad neurological degenerative disease. Can be amazingly transformed within minutes. Of course, for injections, you have to go find an MD or DO, somebody that does the injections, and those people are kind of rare. We have them Texarkana over there close to Dallas. I've gone to that guy several times. But glutathione, why not get started before you have that? And I'm not saying that's the only reason you have Parkinson's, but in this case, it reversed the symptoms quickly, lasted for a couple of days until you needed it again. And did you know that most of the scientists that give rats these diseases just inject them with one chemical out of the hundreds and hundreds that you're exposed to every day? Just one injection of a chemical, environmental toxin that causes a disease in rats. So don't be a rat. Take your glutathione.
Wow. Interesting. So we are... I want to talk a little bit more about liver, just so you know what you may be dealing with that you hadn't even thought about. Liver also regulates your hormones, and so for women out there looking to fix their hormones, which is what we hear all the time. We hear it does not matter what is wrong with you. It all has to do with your hormones, because that's what y'all tell us. So liver is a big player in hormone health as well, right?
Yep.
Which would go back to
absolutely.
Glutathione.
It's called conjugation.
Okay, so make
your
sure that
term for the day.
While you're trying to fix hormones, that there may be another issue of why the hormones aren't right. So it all starts in the liver. And Dr. Lewis, would you leave us before? I mean, don't leave us, but I'm hoping you'll impart with us some closing words. And
I'm gonna die at 94 in a really young body.
And also want to mention, for those of you who are new to our show and you don't know what we're talking about, we do low-cost lab work so that we're not guessing at what's going on with your health. And if you don't know if you have a liver problem, that's actually one of the panels that we run. We can see that on lab. So go to our website at greenwisdomhealth.com, fill out our health survey, and then it will suggest a low-cost lab panel close to you across the United States. So there's no need to try to figure out what's going on. We can see it. And now, Dr. Lewis, I know you have not left us. Would you impart us with some closing words to get us through the week? Because these are going to be some interesting ones ahead.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things I'd like to say, which is unusual, but you have to understand that everything does happen for a reason. Sometimes the reason was because we were stupid and made bad decisions. I've done most of those for you, so just listen to me and skip the bad decisions. We live in a tense time, and that's just because we kind of choose, or we're being led into it. But don't let the behavior of others destroy your inner peace. It's very important to keep your peace. The other thing is, you can't let the circumstances of life harden you so that you become increasingly resentful, afraid, and bitter. We can let them soften us and make us kinder. You always have a choice. So let's get kinder, let's get happier, let's get healthier, because it's within your reach.
Love it. You guys have a blessed week, and we'll be here next time on the Green Wisdom Health Show.
Once again, our show has come to an end, but your hope in your health is only beginning. If you or a loved one are in need of a different outcome and are waiting for a brighter future, take the first step and go to our website and fill out the health survey. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share this show with your friends and family. You are only one step away from a life worth living.